Alright, making these videos sucks, but let's just get it over with. So up here in Western Canada, our biggest go-kart chain is a place called Speeders. They've got locations here in Edmonton, in Calgary, and I think a couple places in BC. This is our local indoor karting facility. We stopped coming here regularly about 3 or 4 years ago because most of the time we'd go as a group, we would come away with stories of the staff being really intrusive when it just came to the basic race sessions. Even if there were very few carts on the track, they'd constantly be monitoring our speed and reducing our cart's power output, cutting our throttle, giving us warnings for no reason, or making each other physically move over and let other people pass when we were actually just trying to race things out, the good old fashioned way. But we never really had any proof of this because no one ran GoPros, right? So it just became this urban legend that Speeders doesn't let you race or do anything fun. Tonight was different. We got a big mini stock race coming up this weekend, so me and my buddy Chris just went to Speeders for the first time in ages to get seat time, really. Chris is a former amateur motocross rider from BC, as well as last year's mini stock champion, and I myself have won 6 races this year alone. Chris told me to include him in my shitpost, so don't freak out that I'm using his picture or anything. So this is two just extremely talented amateur race car drivers in the province, just going to turn laps after hours at the go-kart track. We're not going to hurt anyone. We're not going to send each other into the barrier. This really was just let's go get seat time before the race this weekend. So one of the things you learn really quick with any sort of indoor electric kart is just the weight distribution of the kart mixed with how short and slow the track is means the front tires never get up to temperature. This means to get the kart to rotate in some of the tighter corners or just the switchback sections, you have to trail brake, and that's just something you should know how to do. So naturally I start doing this just because that's how I know how to make a car turn. And every time I drive past what would be the start finish line or the paddock area, I get a warning saying no drifting. I'm very obviously not trying to drift. I'm trying to make the car turn. And if I'm getting these warnings, I can only imagine the kind of warnings Chris was getting, considering he grew up racing bikes, and trail braking is something that actually comes from the world of bike racing. Neither of us are hitting walls. Neither of us are even around each other to pass each other or wreck each other, and we're still getting warnings for taking corners too aggressively. Just as the tires start to warm up and the car is being a bit more compliant through the center of the corner, they kill both of our throttle and lecture us on the front straightaway and explain to us that we have to use the brakes when cornering. Once we get back going again, we're not actually turned loose at the proper speed. I notice in certain corners someone is manually cutting my throttle to make sure I don't take a corner too quickly. No other indoor go-kart track I've ever been to, because there's been a couple here in Edmonton over the years, holds your hand like this. This is ridiculous. So for the second race, we're in a slightly bigger pack, and what Speeders does is if you're in a bigger pack of, 5 or more people, they'll limit your cart speed even more. So you're almost flat-footed around the whole place. Myself, Chris, and his surprisingly talented 15-year-old kid are all running in a train about 2 to 3 car lengths apart from each other. So I do a shoulder check. Chris isn't there, and we're just hauling ass. And we just start lapping people, which is pretty common. Once we get by the lap traffic, the staff are still instructing someone in our group to move over. So I come on the front straight about halfway through the race, and my throttle's just cut. And Chris goes flying by me, and he realizes what just happened because, again, we've had this happen to us before here. And I was like, no, 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 that's bullshit. Go by me. That's not fucking fair. They just cut your throttle. So even if you're just driving in a single file line and nothing bad is happening, you're not breaking any of their draconian rules, that is still too risky for speeders, and they will just ambiguously start cutting your throttle and attempting to split up what's actually a really fun race between you and your buds. Considering how rare it is to go to an indoor karting place and every one of you and your buddies are in a cart that's evenly matched and doesn't have mechanical issues, for something like this to happen in the middle of what's a really good race, this ruined the night. It's one thing to impose rules about hitting people or smacking the barriers a bunch or just spinning out all the time because that's pretty understandable. But I legit did not know what was expected of me here. I don't understand what's so hard about just letting guys go out and, turn the 12 or 14 laps that we paid for and then just calling us in when we're done. I don't understand why it had to turn into this weird power trip. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, this isn't a one-time thing. This has happened pretty much every time we've gone to Speeders. This is what we come away feeling, except this time we've got the camera running. The reason I'm kind of choked about this is because 3 races here, which are just like 3 to 4 minute affairs, cost 66 bucks. When you factor in Chris's kid, this place made like 200 bucks off of us in one night, and this is the experience we got. We got like bossed around as if we'd never driven a car before. And because of this stuff happening, which we finally caught on camera, this is why it's really hard to get people to come out here anymore. Now, to their credit, for the third race, before we got started, Chris went and scolded a couple of the staff members and just basically told them to, fuck off and leave us alone because we know what we're doing. But we shouldn't have to channel our inner Karen to just get a go-kart experience that treats us like competent adults.